The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to another regular edition of Soccer to the Max. Lately, we've been doing those World Cup previews, and we are going to be back at it with Group C tomorrow, but since there was a U.S. men's national team friendly against Bolivia starting their pre-World Cup walkthrough, I guess you could call it, in a good old fashion, we'll talk about that. We also got some news on some movement within U.S. soccer. The general manager position might be close to secured for one former USMNT player. And some NWSL news, including a weird injury situation. We'll talk about some results as well. And yeah, Champions League. Real Madrid, once again, champions of the Champions League. 3 times in a row, guys. It's crazy.
It's almost as boring as the NBA Finals.
Yeah, that got pretty much decided today, too. Golden State Warriors and Cavs again.
Good Lord.
At least I'll give Liverpool some credit. They tried. I think Mo Salah getting hurt early really hurt them.
Well, Salah getting hurt early, and let's just say Gareth Bale, especially with that Wunder goal, gave everybody the finger. It's like, you really want to make fun of us as the Welsh? Take this.
Total just FU moment right there. It might be a big FU to Egypt, too, if Salah can't play or isn't in good condition heading into the World Cup, because their entire chances are leaning on this one guy. So.
He did say he's confident that he'll be ready for the World Cup, so I'm just going to take that for what it is.
I mean, and if he isn't, homeboy Sergio Ramos better run.
Yeah, plus, helps Russia's chances a lot, too. So, I'm sure Rachael might be a little, feel a little better about it.
Listen, I want us to do well, but not at the expense of somebody getting hurt.
Wow, yeah, it is an arm injury, so.
That's the least typical Russian thing I've ever heard anybody say in that regard. Interesting.
Maybe it's because I'm sober.
Okay, that's the second the least Russian thing I've ever heard someone say.
Honestly.
This is quite. Are we trying to get Rachel to do something very Russian at this point? Because that would probably not. Are we thinking very Russian on your scale or very Russian on my scale? Because that's 2 different things here.
Oh, Lord.
Well, yeah, I mean, when it comes to your scale, your scale is way different than a lot of people's. So, I don't know, Erik, if we want to go down that road. But we shall discuss this 3-0 victory for the U.S. against Bolivia. Of course, this is a nowhere near top flight. I mean, not that, Bolivia is some great soccer nation or anything, but they were one of the teams to hold Brazil scoreless in qualifying, so there's something to be said about that. But still, this is not their top side. Their league is still going on. In fact, I think their playoffs were going on during this week.
Their manager was taking care of both his club team and the national team simultaneously the whole week. That should tell you something.
I mean, he's one of the best managers in Bolivia, so I can understand that. But I think it's It's probably more like, I think what's his face, the current Club America manager that was the manager of Mexico at one point had to do the same thing. So it's not totally unprecedented that this happens before, especially when you're in one of you're the coach of one of the strongest teams in your entire league. But still, it was pretty dominating affair for the U.S., and that's without Christian Pulisic really playing that well. He really seemed like he was ready for a vacation. I don't think he's going to play in the other two games, and that's fine. I think trotting him out here against, on paper, the weakest opponent is probably just say, hey, he got to play again. You all got to see him. It's the only U.S. game, so it makes sense as well because the other two are in Ireland and in France. So, yeah.
This one was very, hey, we're going to show off the kids and give U.S. fans at a peak of what's going to be the next generation of this national team. And for what it was, I personally liked a lot of what I saw. And I thought, again, for what it was a great match.
Yeah, I mean, let's breaking this down. You had both the MLS players play in this. Yeah, Alex Bono and Walker Zimmerman. Zimmerman scored a goal. He scored the first goal, his first goal ever for the U.S. And Alex Bono didn't have to make a save. That's how bad Bolivia was. They only had 5 shots for the entire game. The U.S. had 23. He really didn't do much. So, I mean, there's a plus for the MLSers. But the rest of them, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Tim Weah. He looked fantastic in this game. He scored a goal.
Mm-hmm.
He made plenty of passes to connect to the front. Josh Sargent also looked good. He was hungry. His hunger led to that second goal that he scored off a mistake.
Combined with the keeper's stupidity.
Well, yeah, that too. Keeper was kind of messed up on that one. And Weston McKennie looked pretty great as well. So one of the few times we've really gotten to see him play with the U.S., and he did not disappoint at all. I really liked Anton Robinson as well. He was key in the goal for Weah. That cross was really well done on the left flank there. But yeah, there's a lot to be positive about with what you see in this game. Again, you got to take it with a grain of salt of who you're playing. Mm-hmm. Maybe more can be said when you play Ireland and whoever France decides to trot out for that game, because they have so many people that they can put out. It doesn't really matter, But yeah, I mean, what did you think? Anybody else stand out to you there, Erik?
I mean, nobody else really stood out, but I did want to point out a couple of the moments tactically where I would think, especially with the kids, that's basically what I'm going to call them now, could work on. They did very great up the left flank, especially a lot of the action alongside that touch line, but I didn't like that a couple of them shot too quickly. Those moments where Bolivia did hunker down and get 5-6 guys behind the ball. I would have liked to see a little bit more controlled possession around the 18, set up some better chances, but that at best is just being nitpicky.
I mean, there was a lot to be said for that, right? Because there was plenty of times they had the ball in the box, they couldn't connect on that final pass.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting there going, okay, this is going to be a game where they're going to have so many chances and there's nothing happens.
Right.
But, I think with the way Bolivia was playing and the way the defense was actually really well timing what they were doing and preventing Bolivia from really doing anything. It was, you weren't scared on the other end. So.
Oh, no, not at all. That's why, I'd say it's not terribly bad. It was nothing that was really going to cost us the match in that sense, but it's again, me being picky and like little things to work at moving forward.
Yeah, certainly, but I think, a lot of people made a big deal about, oh, why is Josh Sargent playing when he hasn't played for Werder Bremen? It's not his fault. He's freaking 17.
Exactly.
Tim Weah has actually been playing for PSG lately, and he looked like he'd been playing for PSG. I mean, he was probably the best one on the pitch for the entire game.
And at least Sargent, he's getting some action with like their Werder Bremen's B team, so they're trying to do like the best that he can. But if he's not old enough for whatever reason, just give it time. That actually is going to make him better.
Well, it's not like they're going to sit out Max Cruz or, their top strikers, too, for, like you just said, 17. I don't think they're going to sit those guys out for him.
Oh, certainly not. Anton Robinson plays at Bolton, so it should be noted. I mean, for all that we say, we talk about MLS here and everything else, the four guys that stood out the most, aside from Walker Zimmerman, who, played an integral part defensively and scored the first goal, everybody else plays abroad. So, once again, we can talk about wanting to keep big players in MLS, but these players that are playing abroad are the ones that are really hitting it. Even Rubio Rubin, who plays for Tijuana, was very active and could have scored a few times if he'd hit things right or made the right run, but that's something to work on too. Anything else, Erik, you want to mention before we move on from talking about this game here?
I mean, that was pretty much it. This is the U.S. showcase, and now with everything coming down the wire as far as up top in the front office for the men's national team, I like to see how this rolls on these two European friendlies, especially France, because after what happened to them in the Euro, they're hungry as hell.
I think we got to be careful with what a team's doing with friendlies, because we've seen teams just absolutely light it up with friendlies before the World Cup, and they look awful in the World Cup itself, and we've seen the opposite. So it says nothing about how hungry you are or how much you blow out a team that's not even going to the World Cup or whatever. I mean, for their credit, Mexico played Wales tonight as well. I think the U.S., that Ireland game's a nice test, because that's a team that's sort of in your caliber.
Mm-hmm.
You would look at yourself as that's another team that almost made it but got eliminated at the end. And actually the team that eliminated them, we'll talk about them tomorrow in the Group C preview, but it depends on what team Ireland's coming out there with. But even then, you're going to Ireland, you're going out with some youngsters. Hopefully they put up a good match on Saturday, which you can watch that Saturday 3 p.m. I think it's ESPN2. So tune your dials to that one, and you can watch it. And then France is on June 9th, which is a Friday. So there you go. That's what's coming up for the U.S. men's national team.
I thought the 9th is a Saturday.
Oh, it is a Saturday. I'm sorry. You're right. My bad. See, that's what I need my co-host for. When I make mistakes like this, Erik just lets me know, so I don't keep thinking the wrong thing the entire time.
And the U.S. women's national team has some games coming up, too.
That is true.
Hey.
It's the China games, right?
Yep, and your girls go into the one on June 12th in Cleveland.
Oh, sweet. There you go, see?
At least you won't have any sort of victory parade to interfere with.
Well, maybe they'll surprise. You never know. It's LeBron. We've seen him pull out some amazing things. But, yeah, I don't know that he can do it for 4 games. That's a little crazy. But, all right, moving on from this game. There was something that they discussed at halftime that is interesting. It's apparently been in, talks for about, I want to say 5 or 6 days now, but Earnie Stewart, of course, former U.S. men's national team player, back in the doldrum days, when the American teams were trying to come up in the world. Really, not like now where you're not making the World Cup and trying to rebound. You were trying to get on the radar at that point. And he was one of the standouts, honestly, Earnie Stewart. And he's going to be the general manager for U.S. Soccer. Weird that ESPN was the only, or not ESPN, Fox Soccer, FS1, the folks doing the game, John Strong actually went down and discussed some of the things that he's supposed to be doing as the GM. One of them was, of course, hiring and firing the next U.S. Soccer coach for the men's national team, which, still rumors out there about who that could be. Obviously, they're being smart about waiting until after the World Cup and see who's left on the scrap heap after somebody loses, you'd think. And yeah, I think he's supposed to be in charge of sort of ushering in the player pool, making sure who's in, all that, helping the coach and selecting players and all that. I mean, that even if he isn't involved in that, there's always a U.S. soccer protocol that I think that's the same for all the nations. Of you're going to get higher ups complaining about wanting certain players in and all that. Let's see how much autonomy the coach really has at the end of the day. And there's probably other things that he's supposed to be doing, but I think this is kind of hard to discuss until we really know he's been in the job and we really see how they interact with each other, right? Because he's not a technical director either.
It's basically, this is us in the U.S. making this uniquely American. Because it's like, okay, we still don't have a technical director. Will he be in charge of that hiring process as well? How is it going to be with some of the coaches at the lower levels where you have guys like Top Ramos as the only ones that are really secure? How deep is this really going to go?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. I still think Top Ramos is technically basically the technical director. They just remember that the U.S. has never been about having a technical director until Jurgen, and then we see how that worked out. So, I don't know. They might be hands off on the whole wanting to really name a technical director until we see who the coach is and we go from there. But if it's the person that's being really rumored to be, Juan Carlos Osorio, then I don't know if that's going to be the case, because he really doesn't have a style either.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
He's kind of just a tinker man, but we'll see what they decide on. Obviously, it depends on if Mexico gets blown out. I don't know if the U.S. could really think that that's a great idea to go after him, but we've seen...
Boy, would that cause an uproar? And you talk about from higher ups. Imagine the different bits of media if that were to ever go down.
I mean, considering the group that Mexico's in, it's not a total foregone conclusion.
Well, I'm not even talking about the World Cup results itself. I mean, oh Lord. I just harken back to when the media even gave a guy like Sven-Goran Eriksson a hard time for picking players when he had his brief stint as the manager of the Mexican national team.
Well, remember that Mexico, I mean, the U.S. is done this as well, but Mexico more than many countries, they are not happy with foreigners. When you have foreigners, the naturalized guys get put on the team, they have a problem with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Then, Juan Carlos Osorio is getting a lot of crap because he's Colombian, so, they are very, very nationalist when it comes to the many things, especially their soccer, so.
Yeah, No, I was this close to making a really bad joke, but I'm just going to shut up and let that one go.
But yeah, I think we can wax poetic about whatever this GM thing is, and I do agree with you, it's a U.S. based thing. I think there are other GMs and other soccer federations, but this seems like such a, we don't want to have a technical director, but we do feel like we need to have somebody in between Cordero and the coach, and I think that is sort of needed in a way, because Cordero shouldn't be making those decisions. He's not a soccer guy.
Yeah,
so
you need that buffer, but when you go across all of your 4 major North American sports, that exact buffer is a general manager. Very few is it like a VP or president of that sports operations or things like that. So that's why we're just stamping our red, white, and blue on this maneuver. It's not terrible. It is necessary. It's just American.
Yeah, certainly. And, well, with that, we continue the American slide to talk about what's going on in MLS really quick. Just going over results from the weekend, even though there's a game on Tuesday or Wednesday already. I think actually they're doing an entire... Oh yeah, they're doing that entire slate of games on Wednesday and Thursday, so... And then they're just going right into it again on Friday, so they are just not
just
stopping
because
here.
I have the week off doesn't mean that you can still get away with that, Don.
I wondered how we were going to find a way to shoe in Don here. But I guess before that, though, the big announcement is apparently happening sometime later today, whenever you're listening to this. Perhaps it's already happened by the time you're listening to this. Cincinnati should be getting announced as the next MLS team, and in fact, they could be coming in as early as next season.
Woo!
So,
Cincinnati, ole, ole, ole.
See, being from Pittsburgh, I'm kind of like, woo, yeah, there's a team close to us. But then it's like, ugh, Cincinnati.
Better than Cleveland.
True.
don't you know Cleveland rocks, Erik?
Yeah, there's an alternate version called Cleveland Sucks. It is what it is.
That is very true. You aren't wrong there. So I guess they're gonna come. I mean, Miami's still trying to figure out their stadium. Nashville, I think they've officially said that's 2020, right? Or is that so? Cincinnati would help even out the number of teams very quickly, and then they'll start lining up whoever's going to be number 27 and 28. And let me tell you once again, it doesn't matter what Don says, expansion ain't over there. It's not. They're getting to at least 30, if not more, and especially with the hockey team. If we go by Erik's ideals here, where he always talks about whether the hockey team's doing well or not, if Las Vegas wins the Stanley Cup, where they're going for MLS, Erik.
But see, here's the difference. With Vegas, I completely understand. And now think about this, Don. Let me put a little bug in your ear if you ever decide to listen to me. You know that the Raiders are going to build and are in the process of building a new stadium. You know UNLV is going to share that stadium. They've already worked out that deal. So what's left out in the cold? Sam Boyd. Don, you've got something ready-made right there to go. You talk with the local folks, get it renovated, especially for when it hosts Rugby Sevens, and that gives you plenty of room for a nice-sized soccer pitch right there. Don't have to do a damn thing. Don, I'm telling you, if you're talking 31 and 32 teams, hello, Vegas, ready-made situation right there. You're welcome.
Well, I mean, how do you know the Raiders won't try to get involved themselves? So
they would, but again, they just no. Why leave? If you're going to build something high-tech and new and shiny, I stick by this. Why turn Sam Boyd Stadium into another RFK? That doesn't make any damn sense.
Oh, we had to get RFK in here.
You're damn right we do.
I'm not gonna poke the bear here. We'll be here a while if I do. But all right, getting on with this here. You had Real Salt Lake beat Seattle. Seattle's woes continue. I'm sorry, Rachel. Silence from Rachel.
Stop it. Just stop it. Seattle. There are so many injuries. And then our youngster, Handwalla Bwana, gets injured as well. Oh, we can't catch a break. We can't. But if you need a good laugh, just imagine during the press conference this week, Brian Schmetzer was talking about how, because they have that South Korean guy, Kim Ki-hee, on their team. And he was like, well, they're still kind of dealing with communication. Kim's taking English classes, and Chad Marshall, who is his center back pairing, is actually learning Korean. So just, if you need a good laugh, just imagine Chad Marshall learning Korean.
You know what? Totally done with that.
If Chad plays his cards right, has he ever thought about being a K-pop star?
God, could you imagine? Ridiculous. Oh, God.
I mean, you get a nice blend, or even if you're very bold, a little bit of K-rap. Spit that fire in English and Korean. I'm telling you, it could be a big hit. I've seen it done before.
That would be some really crazy rap, but all right. Well, let's go with that. Vancouver, thanks to a hat trick from Teixeira, is able to get the draw with the Revolution, who were gifted an own goal. Teal Bunbury put it up to 3, but then Teixeira in the 74th minute getting that last goal to force the draw. Good on Vancouver to draw things at home there.
Hell yeah, stick it to the crafts once more for me. Thank you, Vancouver.
Red Bulls in Philadelphia were at 0. Orlando got beat by a wonder goal from Alan Gordon, of all people. That man just does not... he gets better with age. It's crazy for Chicago to get the win. I'm sorry, Erik.
We were bound to crash to earth sometime. I'm just hoping we get back up, because having one team disappoint me is enough.
Minnesota United get 2 on Montreal, and that's enough for them to get the win. Christian Ramirez and Miguel Ibarra with the goals. 21,000 there for Minnesota. Pretty good attendance numbers.
Again, Twins are doing nothing. Wild are out of the playoffs. Vikings haven't started their season yet. What else is there to do?
Very true. But still, let's not discount people actually caring about soccer there in Minnesota. And Colorado, despite getting a late 98-minute penalty, they still could not do enough to get 2 goals or get one more goal to get the draw. Portland barely edges out thanks to 2 goals from Adventeros and 1 from Valeri. LAFC and DC United draw at 1.
Oh,
Hey,
of course.
it's not a loss, at least.
Feels like one, Ben. Jesus.
The
We got
Galaxy.
Ben and Dawn in today.
You just had to do enough to give yourself one more week, Ben. Jesus. Go home.
I don't think they're just not gonna fire the guy.
Why not?
They just love him too much there, I guess.
Yeah. Go ahead and bring this crap into your shiny new stadium in a couple of months and see how you feel.
Maybe that's what it is. They're waiting for the new stadium to kick everything in.
Your days are numbered, Ben. You just know it.
Galaxy beat Montreal 1-0 thanks to Ole Kamara.
Wait a minute.
FC Dallas thanks
Did
to
Montreal play 2 games?
Yeah, they played a game on last Monday, and they played a game on Saturday as well.
No time to relax and enjoy the awesomeness that is Montreal. Tisk, Don. Why you gotta do that to our Canadian friends?
The Galaxy game was at home, and then they played in Minnesota for the second game.
Oh, so you're making them... Damn it! Okay.
God. Erik is getting upset about the treatment of Montreal here.
Oh, if only you knew the beauty of that city in many ways than one.
I don't know that I want to go down that road. Your silence, I think, tells me everything there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning.
Dallas defeats the lowly Toronto FC 1-0 with a really early goal from Rudy, and then they just kind of held on. Houston with 3-1 on NYCFC. David Villa, I guess, was disappointed that he did not get called into the Spain team and only able to score in 1 goal while Houston runs it up at home. And then the Galaxy played another game on Friday. They beat San Jose 1-0. So, 2 wins for the Galaxy pretty quickly there.
Maybe Zlatan needs to get red carded more often.
Right? Exactly. Just some more bitch slaps from Zlatan, and we'll be on our way for the Galaxy. And Sporting Columbus get nils. So the standings look like this now after these games here. Atlanta and the Crew still tied at the top with 25 points. NYCFC in third. This is in the Eastern Conference, by the way. The Red Bulls are right there in fourth with 22. Orlando still in fifth with 19. And the Revs at 18. DC United still at the lowly bottom, now joined by Montreal with 9 points. Toronto
See what I mean, Ben? TikTok, Ben.
Toronto is right there with them at 10 points. And Philadelphia and Chicago is trying to get close to be above the line at 7th and 8th there. So the Western Conference now has Sporting up top after their draw. They're equal with Atlanta and Columbus on the same amount of points with 25. LAFC is second with 21. Portland and Dallas are tied for third. with 20. The Dynamo and the Whitecaps are rounding out the top 6. Galaxy inching ever closer with another game in hand, even though Portland, Dallas, and the Dynamo all have 2 games in hand at this point. Getting really close to being above that line again. Minnesota right there with them, along with Salt Lake at 16s. They're all tied for 7th, basically. And then you have the trio of terrible teams, San Jose, Seattle, and Colorado, all with 9 and 8. So, well...
Hey, Scrabble. You ever thought moving east? You look good in purple. I'm just saying.
You just want to be able to root for Scrabble more. That's all.
You're damn right I do. He's sitting out there wasting away in the lowlier parts of Northern California.
We would like to say we do know his name. It's just funnier with Erik's nickname. So, just want to point that out, that we do know his name is Vaco, but Erik will never let me live it down if I don't acknowledge the nickname. So.
See, Sean knows I'm bending your will every day. You know Scrabble is a much more awesome nickname. Vaco is just, unoriginal.
I've learned as a host I have to bend to your whims sometimes, or it's not as fun. So, anyway, speaking of fun, I'm sorry, Erik, that you had to endure this, but on Wednesday, Orlando and North Carolina Courage had one hell of a game. 4-3 to North Carolina. Just apparently is just going to run away with this entire league. They can't lose.
At least we made it close and competitive. When we're talking North Carolina, that's all I ask for at this point. It was something I could live with.
Yeah, but Orlando picked it up this weekend.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
They put in another 5, including Sidney LaRue, 2 goals in 2 minutes, which is pretty amazing in its own right. But
see, it's that LaRue Dwyer magic. It's becoming a powerhouse, and now it's working for everybody.
The rest of the stuff from, let's go through this whole week here, and then Rachael, you can discuss what you like. Washington beats Sky Blue thanks to an Ashley Hatch goal on Wednesday. Houston lays down 2 on Seattle with Christie Mewis, who's unfortunately out for the rest of the season somehow. And yeah, then you had a Portland blank in Utah, thanks to a Christine Sinclair and Lindsay Horan double. Saturday, the 5-2 thrashing by Orlando that we discussed already. Alex Morgan with a goal, Sidney LaRue with 2. And Sam Kerr gets 2 goals, but that's not enough for Chicago on that. Disappointing for her. And the Sky Blue, I'm confused by this. Did Megan Rapinoe score an own goal or something?
No, Megan Rapinoe plays for the Seattle Reign, and she scored against Sky Blue.
Okay, because they have it messed up on here that Sky Blue beat Seattle. It's Seattle beat Sky Blue. Make sure you check your scores,
Sky Blue
people.
is still winless. No, they're terrible.
However, Houston lays down the hammer again to Washington. Ashley Hatch scores at the last minute, but they can't get the equalizer. Houston gets 2 wins in 2 games.
But how? How? I mean, it's Vera. It's Vera Pawn, her little experiment. Oh, listen, I said that I was going to admit something on this podcast that I didn't want to, but I kind of have to take back my statement because of the Christie Mewis injury. I was going to say I was possibly wrong about the Vera Paul experiment, but I think Kristie Mewis' injury is going to hurt them a lot more than they think it will.
Oh yeah, certainly, especially because they moved her to the midfield and she started scoring goals and everything. So that's going to hurt a lot for Houston. But still, the fact that they were able to get into 5th place, I think says a lot. Considering everything they've
their
been through.
whole team is healthy except for Mewis.
I mean, that helps, certainly, but look at who's in front of them, and they've taken out who they've had to stay in the mix, so, and they're not that far behind 2nd place.
Oh, yeah, that whole bunch between, 2nd and 5th place is just... It changes, every match. You have to wait till the weekend is over. But then you have your Wednesday matches. So it is just... I mean, North Carolina's set right now. But, it is just... But I want to go back real quick to that 5-2 thrashing and just say how bad Alyssa Naeher is. Because if I was Jill Ellis and I've watched her, and I watched Ashlyn Harris, who, by the way, basically gave up an own goal, although they did count it towards, I think it was Sam Mewis that they did count it towards. To me, it looked like an own goal. If I'm Jill Ellis and I'm watching this, I don't care how experienced they are, I'm finding a different keeper as my number 1 for the World Cup and for World Cup qualifying, because they are just so bad, especially Alyssa Naeher. They are just so bad this season. I don't get it, and I think Chicago needs to take a step back and possibly throw Emily Boyd in there. I know she's a rookie, but at this point right now, I don't care that Naeher has experience. She has not been good at all this season. And speaking of goalkeepers, Seattle, I think you need to learn the phrase, don't fix what isn't broken, because Michelle Betos has been kicking butt this whole season. And now that Lydia Williams is back from her Australian international duty, they're kind of tossing her into a couple games. Maybe it's just because of the short weeks, but I'm a big Michelle fan, so don't fix what's not broken. She's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, we see what happened to the U.S. in their World Cup campaign back in, I want to say, 2007? Fixing what isn't broken, a keeper? Yeah, how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, especially with keeper, you want to keep things... That's almost kind of like the quarterback. If it's working, you don't need to change it until they give you a big reason to need to change it, right? I don't get that feeling, that understanding sometimes of we need to make this change because Lydia Williams, so much more experience. You've been doing fine with who you had. Just leave her in there. It will help the team morale, I think, at the end of the day. But so things look like this without counting the Wednesday game that's coming up. And if North Carolina wins that, my gosh.
That's going to be a nail biter. Oh, my gosh.
So you get a repeat of the final between Portland and North Carolina. Again, if the Courage win that, they're going to have 29 points. They'll be a full 12 points ahead of the next team. That is not great for anyone below them at this point. So I think every team that's watching this on Wednesday is hoping to God that Portland is able to take the 3 points away. Because even a point may not do too much. Just take the whole 3 points. It's in Portland. It's at 10:30 that night. So if you don't have anything else to do, watch it.
If the Courage is at the point to where, even though we're played a good chunk of the season, but if North Carolina wins and they're starting to calculate magic numbers, that's not good.
No, certainly not. But here's what this looks like prior to Wednesday and the next week's slate here. North Carolina, of course, with 26 points. They've got their 10 games played, and they are just rolling through the season. Seattle has 2 games in hand. They're in second with 17. Orlando's got 15 points along with Portland. That could change with the Wednesday game. Houston's right there in 5th with 13. Chicago's 6th with 12. Utah is 7 with 11. Washington is in 8th with 8 points. And Sky Blue still has not won a game, as Rachael noted, with that one solitary point.
Chicago dropped. They used to be sitting in 2nd place. That's just... Oh, Alyssa, take a seat.
Certainly. But they have a chance to redeem themselves against Washington on Saturday.
No, damn Washington, you were supposed to be good this year. Hey, Erik, do you think we could start a gym rant? Because Jim Gabar is really getting on my nerves.
Well, the one-syllable name does keep it easy, and they already didn't listen to me about that potential advertising gold mine, so I think we can drum up a little something. We can make this work.
Jim?
Damn it, Jim! You're a football coach, not a doctor. Ooh. This is... Yes! God,
what the hell?
Okay, we can work with this.
No idea what we just walked into. This is crazy. Alright, we're just gonna keep having names that we throw out here. Yeah. Well, before we know it, we'll just have one-syllable names that everybody's gonna get thrown in the mix. So, get ready. Any coach, owner, whatever, you could be the next one called out by Rachael or Erik. Just be prepared. Be prepared.
Or change your name.
Let's hope Jill is listening about the goalkeeper thing, because that's
Jill, bring McKriger back for the love of God.
Don't pull a Bruce, Jill. We've been through this before.
She's already the female Bruce. We know this. Sadly, the U.S. keeps winning, so she ain't going anywhere.
Too bad when they play in the World Cup, they won't be winning for too long. My money's already on Brazil. In both World Cups.
Damn.
Okay. Remind me, I gotta talk to some bookies.
Well, the last time that Rachael didn't think the U.S. was gonna win something, they won. So let's keep Rachael with having the U.S. as the underdog.
Or we can go ahead. I can get in contact with some bookies to see what kind of odds I would get on a Brazil men's women's double. That could be a good parlay. And if this helps me retire, of course, Rachel's got to get a 15% cut.
Oh, thank you.
Well, yeah. And then, especially with, who knows, maybe Florida will be one of the states that legalize sports betting. And it can for sure happen at that point.
Look, with the backdoor deals that have already happened under our current administration, I mean, come on, give it a year. Everything's going to be copacetic.
The less we have to talk about the current administration, the better my health will be. So, to help along with the U.S., Kristen Press made the right decision, it looks like, because she's already scored 4 goals in 5 games for Gothenburg in Sweden. So,
and if you didn't know, Heather O'Reilly had announced that she is done with the Arsenal ladies. So NWSL, keep your eyes out, because I don't think Heyo wants to retire yet.
Hey, that's a good grab for anybody whoever has the rights at this point. I don't know how that...
I mean, she was with FC Kansas City. So
wow,
Utah?
That's another great grab for Utah if they can make that happen. And Morgan Bryan has still not played for Lyon, so what's new on that end?
Everyone was like, an American just won the Women's Champions League. No.
Yeah, she didn't do anything.
No.
But
like a typical American, right place, right time.
That's also true. All right, well, I mean, do we have anything else we want to discuss here for getting out of here for the week?
Damn it, Jill, please just call in some good players.
You heard it, Jill. Call in some players. Specifically...
Or I'm going to have a stroke.
Well, let's hope.
Hey,
well, you know what happened if Rachel's not on the show.
Yeah, if Rachel's not on the show and then all of a sudden you see a prolonged absence from me and then my picture shows up on the news, you know what happened.
God. Rachel has a stroke. Erik goes to jail. My God.
See, Jill?
The other way around.
See, Jill? This is what happens. This is what you would do to the show.
You would kill it. We don't need that, honestly. So, if everything stays as per usual, we'll be doing our Group C preview. And then Group C preview on Tuesday, Group D preview on Wednesday. And we'll go from there after that. See if we do any more this week. But, man, that World Cup is getting closer and closer. That fever is getting higher and higher, especially for people that are fans of teams that are actually going to be in the World Cup. Oh, still sad every day that this passes. I totally feel Christian Pulisic crying when he hears the words that you're not going to the World Cup. I totally feel him. I'm sure when that day comes and they're running down the teams and Russia's about to get on the pitch with Saudi Arabia, I'm going to go down in tears knowing the U.S. is not in this World Cup at all. But
see,
yeah.
Christian Pulisic, I feel bad for. This wasn't his fault. But when that day comes and I'm sitting there frustrated as all hell and my cube at my job, I'm just going to think to myself, damn it, Bruce, I warned you. I said for months that this could happen, and this is what happens when you don't listen to me.
Yep. See, you need to listen. See, what I'm doing, you need to do. All coaches going forward, just listen to Erik more, and you will gain solid advice. So, with that said, make sure that if you like what you heard here, especially Erik's wonderful advice, and Rachel's impact on goalkeepers for the U.S., it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Jill will call in some great goalkeepers that are not Ashlyn Harris or Alyssa Nair, well, in our dreams, because she apparently just has to keep calling them in regardless of how well they play or not. So
what does she have? What dirt? What pictures? What tapes? Inquiring minds want to know. This ain't right.
Maybe we'll find out.
All I'm saying is Hope Solo's charges just got dropped, so hashtag bring back Hope.
Let's do it. Bring back Hope again. We need to see her play.
Keep Hope in net. Keep Hope in net.
I like that. Hashtag it. Make it you need to be using that, Erik. Make it.
I'm hashtagging that when we tweet the show out.
We need to have that one happen. Anyway.
You damn well know that's happening.
Make sure that you hit that subscribe button to Soccer to the Max or the whole W2 Network to get everything that we do. Again, look out for those more World Cup previews as we get closer and closer to the World Cup happening. And, of course, we'll have our big entire predictions show on June 10th. So that's the one you really need to look out for. But until then, for Rachael, for Erik, and myself, see you later, everybody.
Peace.
See ya.